The Provence, especially the hinterland behind the Côte d'Azur, is one of those places where vineyards seem to go on forever. Rolling hills, endless rows of vines, and some of the world's best rosé are made right here, with elegant reds and whites quietly stealing the spotlight too. It's no wonder wine lovers and romantics dream of owning a vineyard in this region, and yes, even Hollywood fell for it. In the Var, near Courance, Brad Pitt owns Château Miraval, a fully working wine estate producing acclaimed Provençal wines. And not far from there, near Brignoles, George Clooney bought an old vineyard called Le Canadel, making him quite literally Brad Pitt's wine-loving neighbor. So today we're heading out on a proper Provençal wine adventure, with a tasting at a beautiful estate, and we'll share plenty of other winery ideas you can explore yourself. And if you don't want to go quite that far, there's even a protected wine region right behind Nice, Belley, where you can taste local wines and visit stunning estates just minutes from the sea. Allez, let's go taste some wine. These are just some of the beautiful, visitor-friendly wine estates you can explore in the Var department. From famous chateau names to small family-run vineyards. You'll find everything from estates with sea views along the coast to vineyards tucked away in the heart of the green Provence. Most of them are roughly 1 or 2 hours by car from Nice, making them perfect for a day trip or a slow Provençal escape. And if you're staying in Nice and don't want to go that far, the Belley vineyards right behind the city are an easy and beautiful option too. Quick side note, if you're looking for something really useful for a trip to the French Riviera, we've got you covered. We've just released our brand new digital travel guide with the 50 absolute must-dos on the French Riviera. From the big cities to the most charming villages, plus restaurants, beaches, and those unforgettable little adventures we're always chasing. Everything comes with clickable links, straight to Google Maps or directly to the exact video while we show the spot on our channel. So instead of taking notes while watching our films, you can simply grab the guide and keep all our insider tips in one super handy, fully multimedia place. Alright, we've arrived at today's destination. Let's go explore. We're showing you not just one, but 2 really special wine estates, both owned by Sylvain Massat, whom you'll get to meet a little later. We're starting with this newest baby, Château Les Preyres, located in Le Muy, just off the highway on the way towards Saint-Tropez. Super easy to reach. Anya and I are meeting up with Lucille, who's in charge of communication here, and she has a little surprise waiting for us. Instead of heading straight into the wine tasting, we're switching plans, because first Lucille wants to show us the chateau itself. Sylvain Massat bought this estate a while ago and completely renovated and expanded it, so we've hopped back into the car for a short drive through classic Mediterranean scenery that already hints something special is coming. And then, there it is. The chateau reveals itself, and wow, this is going to be a good day. As we walk along the chateau and into the gardens, it's hard not to feel a bit transported. The layout is very classical, a form of French garden that immediately brings Versailles to mind, but with a very Provençal soul. Right now in December, the whole place feels calm and almost introspective. Lucille tells us that in summer, this garden is a completely different world, full of flowers, scents in the air, and buzzing with life. We'll have to come back, I guess. Wine has been made here for nearly 2,000 years. Recent archaeological digs uncovered remains of a Gallo-Roman wine farm, including an ancient press and huge clay jars. So long before Provence became famous for rosé, wine was already flowing on this very land. Much later, in the 19th century, the property belonged to the Marquis du Muy, who built his residence here. About 20 years ago, Sylvain Massat bought what was essentially a ruined building and slowly, carefully began restoring it. The work on the chateau began around 2012, and even today the interior isn't fully finished yet. That's why it isn't open to the public for visits, at least not yet. The plan is to host weddings and events here, and you can already imagine how spectacular that will be. As we continue walking, the view opens up over rows and rows of grapevines, all perfectly aligned, surrounding the formal garden. The vines are bare right now, without leaves or grapes, looking a little sleepy, a bit melancholic even. Monsieur Massa's vineyards are certified organic, with grape varieties like Syrah, Grenache, Cinsault, and Rolle, all harvested by hand. Vineyard work happens year-round, even if winter looks quiet. The soil is fed, cover crops like lentils are sometimes planted, and pruning usually starts in January, often celebrated with small tastings and local gatherings. And then just below us, there's this large basin with a striking horse sculpture in the middle. The entire estate covers around 150 hectares. That's more than 200 football fields, even though only about 8 to 10 hectares are planted with vines. Lucille keeps telling us stories, and you really feel how deeply connected this place is to its land and its past. We continue around the garden and head down behind the chateau toward a hidden lake. And you know what? The lake is man-made. It was created to bring back a sense of authenticity to the site, both for irrigation and for pure beauty. For a few short moments, we settle in under the cute pavilion, soaking up the mild December sun, and it's hard to believe this is winter. Monsieur Massa is now in his late 70s, but still very present, visiting several times a week, checking on things, eating here, guiding the project. You can feel this isn't just a business. And sitting here by the water in the soft winter light, it suddenly makes perfect sense. This place isn't meant to be rushed. It's meant to be experienced, slowly, season by season. Alright, shall we finally talk wine next? No, lunch first. It's about 1:30 by now, and we're pretty sure we're the very last guests still showing up for lunch today. But luckily, that's not a problem at all here. Because at Château Les Preyres, you don't just come to taste wine, you can also sit down for a meal in this beautiful, sun-filled restaurant with gorgeous views over the estate. And in the warmer months, you can imagine how perfect it must be out on one of the terraces. You'll notice we're sticking to water for now, not wine just yet, because, well, the actual wine tasting is still coming up very soon. Anya, I've got an idea. How about we choose one starter and one main dish? For you and for me, a main dish and a dessert, and I might let you try some of my dessert and I'll try some of your starter. Deal! While we're enjoying Anya's starter, we get a very nice surprise. Sylvain Massa himself stops by with his wife to say hello. And this is where the whole story gets even more interesting. Fun fact, Monsieur Massa, whose family made a fortune with a company focused on automotive maintenance and repair, is originally from Cannes. Back in the 1980s, wine wasn't his first passion at all. It was horses. He dreamed of creating his own stud farm, and when he found this land, it was basically just forest. And because the area is protected agricultural land, he needed to farm it, and that's how viticulture entered the picture. One thing led to another, and here we are today. As for the restaurant itself, it's open year-round, and they even host regular music evenings. You'll find the program online. What we love is how closely the kitchen is connected to the estate and the region. They work with local fishermen and a butcher from close by, so don't rely too much on the menu you see at the entrance. It's very much a day-by-day thing. There's a full tasting menu at lunch and dinner if you want. Very French, very civilized, and very tempting to stay longer than planned. They also introduced wine pairings recently, which makes total sense for a wine estate, with selections adapted to the menu of the day. And they grow citrus fruits right here on this estate, and everything is used for cocktails and especially for desserts, which are, honestly, pretty outstanding. And I keep my promise and let Anya try my dessert. Well, a spoonful at least. Lunch was absolutely delicious. The perfect foundation for what we've been waiting for all along. So, first of all, a little confession. Even after more than 20 years living in a wine region, neither Anya nor I would call ourselves wine experts. We basically know two things, whether we like a wine or whether we don't. So don't expect fancy tasting notes from us today, even though Lucille is doing her absolute best to guide us through it all.
Donc ici nous avons assemblé grenache et tibourin. La grenache est assez fréquent, on va dire, de par le monde. Le tibourin est vraiment typique de notre région.
What we can tell you is that Sylvain Massat created Vignoble Massat to bring his two estates together, Château Les Preyres and Château Font du Broc, the one we'll show you in a minute. Together, they produce around 200,000 to 250,000 bottles a year, which is still very much human scale and allows everything to be hand harvested. You can buy them right here or in select wine boutiques. This year's harvest was a bit unusual. The grapes didn't ripen evenly, so they had to start, pause, and start again. But in the end, it turned out really well, Lucille tells us. They produce white, rosé, and red wines, and even though the two estates have separate cellar masters, they work closely together while keeping their own identities. We're tasting in a very modern spot, but the real eye-catcher is downstairs, the amphorae room. Here, more than 35 terracotta amphorae are used for a special cuvée called Massalia, named after the ancient Roman name linked to Marseille. The wine is fermented, clarified, and then aged right here in amphorae for 12 months. Okay, we'll stop ourselves here. Final chapter. Château Les Preyres may be the newest project in the Massat universe, but it's not where the story started. To understand where all of this really comes from, and before it gets too dark outside, we're heading to Chateau Font du Broc, a long-established name in Provence wine country. It's just a 15-minute drive from Les Preyres. And yes, the horses are still very much part of the story. Here at Font du Broc, there's a training group with around 30 horses that are in the stables when we arrive. The main Massat Horses estate, a breeding center with over 600 dressage horses, is about an hour and a half from here in Camargue. Perched on the hills in Les Arcs-sur-Argence, Font du Broc stretches over about 100 hectares. Everything feels very Provençal. This winery has been welcoming visitors since the early 1990s and is known for its full range of red, rosé, and white wines. The boutique has a completely different vibe than Les Preyres, warmer, more rustic, and very inviting. You can do a wine tasting here as well, just like at the chateau we visited earlier, and of course take a few bottles home if you fall in love. And with that, we're wrapping up our Provençal Wine Day. Thanks so much for watching! If you enjoyed this vineyard escape, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our digital Riviera travel guide. And we'll see you very soon in the next video.